Left-Wing Kingz. Listen, think, act, repeat.
Welcome to the Left-Wing King podcast. Today we're talking about the death of R&B music, religion in the Black community, as well as the war in Iraq versus the war at home. I want to thank all of our listeners out there on Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon, and Google, as well as all of our watchers on the live stream on Facebook and YouTube. Please feel free to leave a comment and we will get at you, or we'll share it on the screen, or we might even talk about it during the live stream. I am your head moderator in charge of HMIC Malik, and I'm joined today by my queen, Walanda.
What up?
King Ace.
What up? What up?
And our return guest speaker, Mr. George Silman. Round of applause for Mr. George Silman in the building.
The retainer of all useless knowledge.
Okay. Well, with that, let's go ahead and get it cracking. All right. So R&B music has been a staple in the Black community for years, but similar to its predecessors, jazz and blues, traditional R&B music is slowly disappearing from the airwaves. And it's a shame because, as we all know, it's an important part of the musical genre. It is a great classical type of music, and I, for one, love it. So, George, are radio stations actually killing R&B?
Radio stations are definitely, well, they're definitely not helping R&B. They're trying to engineer a new hybrid R&B. Their R&B still exists. It's just the format in which it's given to the masses. That's changed. Back in the day, just like with hip hop and just like with jazz or pretty much any other genre, you had artists and they all didn't sound the same. You know, so-and-so had their sound, so-and-so had their sound. Luther didn't sound like Stevie.
Right.
Stevie didn't sound like Mike. Mike didn't sound like Prince. And they could all be played back to back to back in an R&B format. Nowadays, it's almost indistinguishable. You hear a song, and then you hear another song, and it's like, okay, is this one long song, or you don't know where one starts and one ends is pretty much the same as modern hip hop. But with that being said, in my research, one of the things that made me think of a topic like this was living in a city like San Antonio, where, of course, we are already a marginalized community within, we're a minority within a minority. Well, I guess that's not really true because the Latinos are not a minority in San Antonio anymore, no matter what demographics you look at. But we are definitely the minority, and there has long been a dearth of Black radio. There used to be college stations, K-Chill back in the day, and there were a few other stations that came and went. But right now, there is not a single R&B station that in any way highlights R&B. 98.5 The Beat is pretty much hip hop format.
If you want to call it that.
And that's a stretch.
That's a stretch.
But so it's the conditions and the environment that we're in that really made me think about this topic, because when I listen to that station, I seldom, if ever, hear anything that even evokes any kind of memory of what R&B once was. That's sad. But at the same time, they make no bones about stressing the fact that they're a hip hop radio station. I imagine if we lived in Atlanta, or if we lived in any city with a larger Houston for that matter, we would probably hear more R&B and more traditional R&B, because once you have an R&B station, they're going to play the current stuff, but they're also going to pay homage to the pioneers and to the originators. So is R&B dying? Perhaps not. Is R&B evolving? Definitely.
I mean, I think you got something there, especially coming from where we live here. Let's say like a Lettucey, right? Awesome artist. We're not going to hear Lettucey on the radio. We're not going to hear what's my name? Chris Morris. I can't think of her name right now.
Somebody like her.
Yeah.
Oh, I put her.
And people like that. So, basically, best we're gonna get R&B here with like 98.5 is a Aaliyah remix into like a hip hop song. You know what I'm saying? That's the closest thing. You know what I'm saying? 98.5 wouldn't know R&B artists if it hit them in the head. So a lot of stuff we got to do is underground. But I think that when you're talking about R&B and how it used to be, like for instance, used to have R&B stations. I mean, hell, we used to have a 98.5 used to actually be an R&B station. You know what I'm saying? When it was out, we don't have anything like that that's actually pushing the genre. What's the issue with that? Is like, yeah, even though hip hop is cool and whatever the case may be, you know, that's not it. You know what I'm saying? That's not all of it. Like, you know, and a lot of these kids, that's all they heard is hip hop. They don't know anything. Hip hop is a music created by other musics, and R&B pretty much created hip hop. You know, just like blues created pretty much everything. So, no, it's a concern, man, that you can't hear good classic R&B, and from a guy who lives in the soul music realm and, you know, creates music and pushes R&B. You know, it's sad. It's sad. You know what I'm saying? Something needs to be done.
What I was thinking about is that as stuff has evolved, right? So music or radio stations, they supposed to target their target audience. So maybe that's not us. So I was thinking maybe it's because we, as our generation is getting older, we don't listen to certain kind of music. Because when I think of traditional, I guess R&B, I'm thinking like your Whitney Houston, like I Will Always Love You, Alicia Keys, Fallen, Usher, right? You know, his old, you know, just Usher in general, most of his songs. So now when you listen to music, you have Weeknd, I guess would be like R&B, Her. Her doesn't get a lot of play, but when it does get played, you guys got to shout out to her. Definitely listen to that. Beyonce, I guess, is considered, right?
Yes.
Like when we look at Beyonce, SZA, I don't know if you heard of SZA.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really like SZA. But again, those are catering to our favorites, millennials, and our generation, whatever generation that is.
Yeah,
Z,
we lost
whatever,
on
we
the
lost them, whatever
generation.
generation. So I think
I don't even know what letter alphabet we on the generations now.
I think our radios are targeting that audience. Just like when we say R&B, my mom would say the Four Tops or the Commodores. That's great music, but we don't hear that anymore because, again, the target audience wouldn't be our boomer generation. Our target audience is probably our millennials and thereafter. So maybe it's not that R&B is dying off. I think maybe it's just that they're catering to a new style and focusing on their target audience, which unfortunately is not our generation at this time.
I think they got a lot of good artists that fall into the millennial realm, like Janae Aiko.
Okay.
You know,
right.
You can twist your arm and say Jasmine Sullivan, you know,
Coco Jones.
Coco Jones.
Right.
We just don't have a place to hear that. I mean, the internet, and people,
Right.
and that's, you know, let's be real, that's part of it too. That I'll be real. How many people really just listen to the radio? You
I
know,
don't.
other than you just like, you know, like you ain't home turning on the radio no more. You know, if you ask Alexa to play whatever you want to hear, and that's who she plays. Now, you know, in the car you might turn on the radio for a little bit, but I'll be honest with you, I listen to a lot of sports talk.
Sports talk, or a lot of people, even in the car, they have a select playlist. Like, you know, even if they have Pandora, Spotify, they have a playlist that they resort to versus just letting random music play. But let me play a quick game with you guys. I'm gonna name a song or name an artist, and if you can tell me the if I name the song, you got to tell me the artist. If I name the artist, you got to tell me a song that they've made. And and this is based off of iHeartRadio's top 10 R&B currently. Okay, the name of the song is George knows he's blind, so I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know why you tripping over there trying to look at that close.
The name of the song is Last Time. Now you guys are gonna trip when you hear the artist, but the name of the song is called Last Time.
Last time.
I'm gonna just say Lucky Day.
Ron Isley and the Isley Brothers.
Okay.
That's number 10 on the iHeartRadio top R&B right now. Okay. I'm gonna name the artist this time.
I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna go to Spotify right after this.
I'm gonna name the artist this time and see if you can name the song. Leela James.
I don't even know who she is.
No, I know Leela James.
I know Leela James.
I've heard the name before too.
I don't know the song though.
Right Back in It.
How'd that go?
No, I never heard that.
This time I'm going to name the artist, and I'm pretty sure you're all going to know the artist, but can you tell me what song she has out that's popular?
On the top 10.
Tamar Braxton.
She cries a lot.
Yeah, and I don't.
It's a sad song. I know this song. I've
Nobody
heard it,
likes
but I don't know the
I'm
name.
not a Tamara Braxton.
Nobody likes me except my sister.
You're dumb.
Tony Braxton's sister.
The name,
No.
of, the name of the song is Change.
Men bashing. Oh, I'm sorry.
Man.
Man, bad.
We're getting 0 for 0, y'all.
I'm not expecting to get any of these.
This time
I
I'm
think George did this on purpose.
Yes, this time I'm gonna name the artist, and
Okay.
you guys got to come up with the song. Josh X, no relation to Malcolm or Sadat,
Or DM.
or DM.
Why do we talk to them? Why do we talk to them?
Who's
Why do we
Josh?
talk to
Who's
them?
Josh X?
That's DMX cousin.
Y'all are dumb. I don't know.
Yeah.
Love Takes Me Higher. Now this one I think is a remake because I know the name of the song, but I don't know if they've actually remade it. It's a song by a group called Silk Sonic. Y'all know who Silk Sonic
Yeah, I
is?
know that is. That's
That's
Bruno
Anderson .Paak
Mars and
and
Anderson
Bruno
.Paak. I know
Mars,
that group a lot.
It's I'm assuming it's a remake because the name of the song, but I could be wrong. The name of the song is Love's Train.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
remake.
it's a remake by the
they
Confunction.
remake Confunction song. Yeah, I know
I
that.
love that song.
I know that one. They
I
redid
love that
one.
song.
Well, you know, Bruno Mars ain't nothing but riding on funk anyway.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
he getting. I had to tell my son that. I said, "Nigga, that's funk. Nigga.
Yeah.
That ain't,
Yeah.
Go listen to Cameo before you listen to Bruno Mars."
Exactly. Okay, the name of the artist is Thames.
Okay, I know Tim.
I know Tim's, but
Yeah.
I don't know the song.
Free Mind. It's pretty
Yeah, I
much
know
a
that
big
song.
big
I know
hit
that
because
song.
it came out last year and it's still
Yeah,
big, banging.
Free Mind is big. Yeah,
Okay. Coco Jones is the name of the artist.
that's
Yes,
ICU.
you.
ICU.
Yeah.
I know
Whoa,
that one.
we have
I like
a winner.
Coco.
We
Yeah, I
have
know
one
Yeah, I
song.
said. I said,
Danielle
yeah,
actually,
Hey!
Danielle
yeah,
actually sings
I like
that
Coco.
song.
I like
Okay,
Coco.
I see.
Danielle
Yeah,
actually
she
sings
sings
that
that
song.
song.
Yeah.
Okay, now this one is by artists that you guys pretty much should know. But I'll name this song Good Good.
Good.
Ashanti. Is it?
No.
Oh.
Good.
It's three artists, two singers and one rapper.
Oh, nigga, almost said Tony. That's bad.
No. We like I
Although
said,
they are supposed to be getting back together.
That's just old.
this is millennial times. You gotta think.
Well, one of the artists is not
one
quite
old?
millennial. The
Uh-huh.
one is the non-millennial because I don't consider Usher millennial.
Right, I don't know.
So that's one artist.
So he's with Usher?
Summer
Oh.
Walker, who
Summer
I would
Walker,
consider
okay.
probably millennial,
Yeah.
and then the feature rapper is 21 Savage.
Okay.
They still
And-
giving that nigga jobs.
He hasn't been deported. No, Jay-Z, they saved him.
Yeah.
Okay, the name of the song is Back to Your Place. Yeah, if anybody guesses the artist, I'm
Back
gonna
to
pull
Your
out a $20 bill and give it to him right now.
Teddy Pendergrass is not.
It is not Teddy. It's not
Crystal
Teddy.
Waters.
No.
La-da-dee-la-da-da.
Back to your place.
Back
Male or
to your-
female?
Mel. I'm
You ain't
assuming.
gonna know who it is.
I'm
babe.
assuming
No.
Mel based off of the name.
Lucky Day.
His name is actually this current month, October, London.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
see,
him
don't
before.
nobody know
I heard,
that.
I heard
No.
October London.
And drum roll, please. The number one song. The name of the song is My Whole Heart. Who is the artist?
Beyonce.
No.
No.
Sam, what's his name? That white dude that sings real
Oh,
good.
I like Sam.
Who's that? Sam Smith?
Sam
Yeah, Sam
Smith. That's
Smith.
not Sam Smith.
But it would not be him.
Who is
Ain't
it?
that?
It would be somebody by the name of Jay Brown. So
Just,
that-
Wah, wah,
So
wah.
I did that because this is top 10 R&B as of
Wow.
today. And we of 10 songs,
We knew one.
ICU by Coco Jones was the only one that we were able to identify just based off of the song title or the artist. Even the Isley Brothers, who are as traditional R&B
Mhm.
goes, even we couldn't. I mean, it just goes to show we aren't being exposed even to the traditional R&B because I'm positive the Isley Brothers song doesn't sound like pretty much the rest
Right.
of this list.
Mhm.
It's not so much that R&B is dying; it's exposure.
We get known.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this. To your point, Walanda brought up the point earlier that they're going. The radio industry, streaming industry is going to target an audience, and we are not the target audience. We Generation X now.
Mhm.
Those songs on there is all millennial and Gen Z type stuff, and that's just ain't who we are. Even Isley Brothers, if you look at it, we know the Isley because our moms and dads and them listen to the
Mhm.
Isley Brothers. And that's why we know that music. It ain't like
Mhm.
most of that stuff. The stuff that we came out and the radio was trying to play to cater to us was more like the New Editions and the Troop and
Mhm.
shit
New
in the 80s
Condition,
and
right.
90s. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do want to real quick get to some of the comments on here because I think some of these are important comments. So first one we got is Carrie, he says, salute Malik and the panel. So appreciate you, Carrie. Peter Milner, he said, there's another genre of music which also primarily came out in the US, which is also all but disappeared, and that's Motown, which once again, that's R&B, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
There was some famous and fabulous Motown in the 80s and before that, definitely. He points to the Commodores, Night Shift.
Yes.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Rick
Used to
James
love
is
that
on
song.
Motown.
That's my
Yep,
mom.
exactly. Then we got Stacy Perry Silman,
I wonder who that is.
Mrs. Silman.
Oh,
Says,
She sounds familiar.
we don't get to showcase.
that's a ringer right there. That's a ringer.
Yeah, she says we don't get to showcase all our talents, especially writing and arranging, which R&B does. Parents don't have an option for kids play actual instruments. Yeah, so that's a great point too. Like,
Yeah.
Where
I was
your
gonna
little
get into that.
princess.
yeah, so go
Mhm.
ahead, elaborate, man.
Well, I mean, R&B, that's really our last genre where we created music from scratch. Like we played that, like, and a lot of the hip hop riffs that you got, the great songs that you hear come from great R&B riffs. Funky Drummer by James Brown was sampled so much, it's ridiculous. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's a disadvantage if we start getting away from R&Bs. We get away from really creating music from its full form. I won't say this about George. Nah, I couldn't have got that list, but if you had that top 10 list out of the back of the Jet magazine, man, I'd have been on that.
Yep,
You know
no
what I'm
doubt.
saying? For
No
real.
doubt.
But no, that's serious. Is that it's scary because we get away from creating music and really getting into what the art is actually about. Love hip hop to death, love it to death. But hip hop needs another form of music for it to happen. Of course, yeah, you can make original beats and stuff like that. But a lot of the hip hop that we've grown up to love and the songs we like have some kind of music sample that's behind it, and it comes from R&B.
Yeah.
Modern hip hop is focused less on sampling for two reasons. One, that's not what today's producers, that's not how they craft their sound. And two, the cost of sampling has skyrocketed. Artists now know if you get a piece of the publishing if you if somebody samples your wear. So sampling has become a cottage industry for the artists who get sampled. So they've basically, I mean, you got some like George Clinton. It is the running joke amongst especially West Coast rappers is George Clinton is a crack dealer. He will license a sample for a low price just to make sure that you keep coming back to sample his music. And that's why if you listen to a lot of the West Coast, that sound is just the same way James Brown was the sound foundation to a lot of East Coast
stuff.
West Coast was
George
Parliament, George Clinton. I just find it sad that corporate interests have co-opted R&B, and even though there's still R&B out there, the whole notion that we only like 25 songs at a time, that's sad to me. I grew up in New York City, and we had WBLS. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Frankie Crocker, but he was big time tastemaker. I mean, he was the guy who, if Frankie Crocker broke a record, that record got played. And you had 98.7 Kiss FM. The beautiful thing about stations like that was not only did they play the single that the record label put out, but they played the whole album. When the Luther album came out, they played the album. And people would call in and request, oh, I want to hear Creepin'. And Creepin' was not a single. I want to hear Wait for Love. Now, some of these songs may have eventually become singles because of such demand, but that was the audience that, the audience was exposed to the music, and the audience played a role in shaping what not only the record label put out, but the artist's identity. We know certain songs by certain artists, not just because we bought the albums, but because we decided that was going to be the hit. We didn't need somebody in a suit dictating to us what we should listen to.
But that's what we are now. I mean, it's become really about what the corporations want, to your point. And I think we talked about this a little bit when we talked about hip hop when Dewan was here a few weeks ago, was that, the transition, even for hip hop started off very diverse. You had your conscience hip hop, you had like X-Clan, Public Enemy,
Sir Mix-a-Lot,
you had Sir Mix-a-Lot, you had Too Short, then you had gangster rap, then you had, and it was a plethora, all types of styles of music you could listen to from a hip hop perspective. But then there came the corporates,
corporations that say, which one can we make the most money from? And you know what? That conscious stuff, first of all, we don't want people to be
educated.
We want you to listen to what we want you to listen to, and we want to make the money that we want to make. So they kind of sculpt it into the form that they wanted. And I think that R&B, they're doing the same thing with that. When you said, like, the people don't produce, they don't use these types of like instruments and stuff like that. Well, they're not doing it because they know that the corporation don't want that. They're doing what corporate wants them to do, so that it'll get exactly. It's the same thing. Cookie cutter music that they know will get played. So they're moving away from that old R&B traditional style that we listen to something else that corporations want. And if corporations were to shift back to the old style, everyone else would shift back too.
We're all 40 and over. I have a question I want to pose to each and every one of you. If you hear a song that you really love, will you go to Amazon or Apple Music or any place that possibly still sells an MP3, and would you actually buy the song, or are you content with streaming it and listening to it?
Streaming has taken over the whole industry.
I know where you're going with this.
And we pay for a streaming service. So we are giving money to the artist, right? Because of the fact that we're actually paying for a streaming service. We used to have Spotify, we paid for that. Now we got Apple Music. So we're paying regardless of what songs we listen to or playlists we put together or whatever. But if I didn't have a subscription, would I pay and just buy an MP3? Probably not, because I could get it probably for free based on a free streaming platform.
I guess that makes me the oddball, because I still like to have possession, ownership. Like I want the song. I want it in my collection. I'm a collector of music, and if I have the MP3, that means I have unfettered access to that song, no matter what. If I want it on my iPhone, if I want it in any format, I can have that song. I don't have to wait for it to play, and I think as a demographic, our age group, we are still, probably more apt to buy more so than millennials. So if you want to cater to, if we're talking about money, if we're talking about commerce, if you want to cater to an audience that's going to spend money, I would think you would cater less to the millennial and more to our demographic, because I think for one, we have the disposable income, and two, you need to start doing these market tests, just to find out how many people in the age range of 30 to 49 are still willing to plop down $1.99 or 99 cents or whatever, because the price of an MP3 single ranges. But how many of them would still be willing to pay for a particular song versus just paying for a streaming service? And I mean, if you did that kind of research and you find out that this age, just demographic, is still willing to put down money to own music, then I think that's who you should cater to. And
so I hear you, man, 100%. What I will say to add to that is just like, support whatever music you think is right. Like whether you buy it, whether it's streaming, because when I listen to Michael Jackson, whatever, like whoever in his family is getting money from me streaming that song, they getting money, right? I'm supporting them. So pay. I understand we all want everything for free. That's black folks' way. We want to try to get everything for free. If you want to support these artists and hear more of the music that you like, pay for it, buy it, or stream it so that they can continue to have incentive to make the music. And speaking of, and also pray for them. Pray for all of them, okay? They all need our prayers. And speaking of prayers, religion. So religion has played a significant role in the Black community for centuries. It's a constant source of comfort, strength, and resilience, especially in times of tragedy and times of adversity. But in recent years, there's been a decline in religious participation amongst the Black American population. So, George, you brought this topic to the table for us. So I'm going to ask you, is religion still an important part of the Black community?
Religion is definitely an important part of the Black community. It's still very viable, but it's changing. I think You know, once we always this podcast has a way of always targeting millennials. Once we
that's a personal thing, brother.
No, I have my wife and son listen, and my son wants to come and chew you guys out because he thinks y'all a little too hard on millennials. But
that's because we all birthed millennials.
Yeah.
I think the younger generation are more into secularity, if that's a word.
Yes. Secular humanism.
They have less of a use of religion because they don't see what good comes from it. Praying, okay, we pray. You know, y'all prayed, y'all did this, y'all did that, and what changed? And they look at it from that perspective, like, well, okay, so all of this prayer, you know, is good, and you know, good and dandy to pray, but what change has it really brought about? Well, you know, we have to be more of action. So I'm not going to go to church and pray that conditions change in my community. I'm not going to go to church and pray that conditions in my life change. I'm going to make that change occur. I'm going to change my community by, you know, grassroots efforts or doing what I can to better my surroundings. And I think that's the difference. I think, you know, they don't see, they see through, you know, and it doesn't help that you have the Creflo dollars and certain people who every now and then there's some kind of scandal tied up to, you know, what did he want? He wanted a jet or something like that.
What's that dude, the singer that supposedly cursed his son out on the phone and he recorded it? Kirk Franklin.
Yeah. So, you know, they start to see some of these folks as charlatans. They start to see them as basically, you know, snake oil salesmen. And, you know, then there's the common sense factor. You know, and some of you guys know this, I'm agnostic. I do not hold religion sacred in any way. In my opinion, every holy textbook, and that's just what they are, was written by man. The God that people believe in is not the God that made man, but that's the God that man made. We can barely master our surroundings, yet somehow, some way, we have deluded ourselves into thinking that we can comprehend, digest, and understand what the supreme entity that we refer to as God. Somehow we have convinced ourselves that we know what his intent was. Somebody who created the vastness of the universe, but yet somehow we, a primitive species, can think that, I mean, that's ego. And that's man making God's decisions. That's not God making decisions for man. God did give us free will. That's the one thing that I think that's the biggest takeaway that I think the younger people who do believe in something walk away with, that, you know, we have free will and that's what we have to exercise. More so than any other species on the planet, we maximize our choices. We know we have choice. Animals, their environment dictates how they behave and what they do. Are they smarter than what we give them credit for? Definitely. But bottom line, they don't exercise free will. They don't have the capacity to exercise free will the same way we do. That's why we are the dominant species. And young people today, they realize that, why would I go to church and give money to somebody who isn't really going to, who themselves or that organization as it stands is not doing anything to better my community. It's just there. It's basically a Sunday social club that everybody goes to every Sunday and, you know, gets to gossip or, you know, say hallelujah a couple of times and catch the Holy Spirit and then go home. So in the next 10, 20, 30 years, will the Black church still exist? Probably so, but its membership will probably dwindle, and it'll probably consist mostly of older people and a few young people who have been indoctrinated at a young age who refuse to give it up.
So one point that you made about millennials. So I don't think it's a millennial. I don't think it even started with millennials.
Yeah,
I
me
think it
neither.
probably started with us.
Yeah.
With Gen X. I think we were the first ones to kind of say, I don't need to go to church, mom or dad or whatever. Like I think that we were the first ones to kind of start saying, if I need to do something, I'm gonna do it myself. I'm gonna do for self. I can pray.
Yeah.
Right. There ain't nothing wrong with me praying and getting that assistance. Right. I ain't never gonna turn down a hand. But I know that at the end of the day, God doesn't come down and pick the winner of the football game. Like we both praying to God. We both saying, thank God for this win. Thank God for this trophy. Thank God. But God didn't smite the other three people that was up for the award. You know what I'm saying? God ain't making those decisions. Right? You can pray all you want to, but you got to action is what is going to take you to where you go. Now, that prayer on top of that, that's a little, help. Don't get it twisted. I think that you should always show thanks to God for the things that you have, because he had a part in it, but at the majority of it is because of you and your own hard work. I think that started with us. I don't think the millennials started. I think that they inherited that from us.
Yeah. George, and believe it or not, a lot of what you say, I agree with, believe it. I'm not wholeheartedly tied into blind faith. And that's where I think it comes to the church. And I think that if you go to generations before us, the boomers, the greatest generation, Black people, they leaned on the church and they had blind faith in the church. And I think that made us stronger as a community partially, but it made us weak too, because a lot of, and I think that we kind of figured out, all right, well, some of these pastors ain't leading us the right way, or it's political reasons, or political gain. So I'm not going to blindly believe in religion like that anymore. Now to say that I don't believe, like we all probably brought up in the church one way, shape, or form. And I think the church, it's a lot of good things the church they do, and I think to put you on a moral path, to give you a moral guidance, something like that. If you believe in religion for that particular reasons and you use it for that, it's good. It's nothing wrong with a little church in your life, if you're doing that. But I think when it comes to, like you say, thinking outside of the box and thinking freely, I think a lot of times that's used as a political ploy to keep us kind of trained and kind of lead us sometimes not in the right direction.
That's what religion is. And I think, to George, I know I'm gonna make some people mad with this one. I think you got some people mad, but I'm gonna make them real mad. Religion to me is just a tool to control us.
Yes,
it is.
That's all it is.
It's always
just
been
a tool to control us and make us do things and keep us in line. And I talk to my wife about this all the time. Turn the other cheek. They was telling us turn the other cheek because what? They was beating our asses.
Yeah.
And they were like, don't do nothing to me. I'm the master. Yeah, listen to me. Turn the other cheek. But guess what? It's okay for me to whoop your ass, and I'm still gonna go to heaven. I don't got to turn the other cheek when you fuck up the cotton. You don't pull enough cotton in. I can whoop your ass.
I'll do you.
They doing it in the name of Jesus.
They whooping your ass to help you.
They taught us out the Bible
God.
when they did.
So I mean, it's a tool to control. Now that does not mean that there is no God to me. Now to George, that's something different. To me, I still believe that there is a God. I just don't believe that God puts roadblocks in your way for you to not get what you want. They say the devil's doing that, but God is now also the one moving those roadblocks out of my way. I moved the roadblocks out of my way.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry.
And it's not even a black thing. Man's been using religion against each other forever. I mean, when the people came and conquered America, they bought a Bible with them and used it on the Native Americans. So it's been used as a tool to control people. Like even the Book of Eli, that movie, that's basically what they're saying. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So educated people should understand, where religion lies and what it does. And it plays whatever, it's a personal thing. It plays whatever it needs to play in your life. You know what I'm saying? But to be sitting up there, like you said, and I talk to people like this all the time, man, I'm just going to pray on it. Pray on what? Just get up and go do it. What are you talking about?
Religion is like
exactly.
Modern religion is like beer. Let's look at Christianity, Catholicism, Methodist, Baptist, Episcopalian. I mean,
what flavor you like?
Blonde, lager.
Exactly. It's all Christianity. If the word of God is so strong and so pure, why is there so much deviation and variation of how you should pray. Why is there an Episcopalian versus a Southern Baptist? Why?
Yeah.
Control.
Nah, I don't like the way you do it over there. So I'm making my own religion.
Exactly.
It's the same reason why you got different brands of beer, like you said, because different tastes. And I'm
Right.
going to go ahead and give people the taste they want, so I can make my profit or have my control with a different flavor. That's
Wherever
all.
your values lie. And what George said is called secular humanism, I believe. Yes. So that's the title of it. And I'll be honest, I think I've moved more so that direction. And I was raised up in the church. And basically it's a worldview philosophy without religious beliefs, meaning I believe in my morals, my beliefs, and my values, but I don't necessarily need religion to teach me those. Like I believe what I see is good character. I don't have to go to church for it to teach me that. And some of that relies on, like I said, reason and science, right? So we look at critical thinking. If you're a critical thinker, you start, thinking like, all of you said about prayer. I pray every day, but it doesn't mean that something's going to happen one way or the other. You know what I mean? So I believe like when people get sick and they start, well, I'm going to pray about it. Well, I don't think you can pray that cancer away initially. Like you got to go to the doctor and you got to get treatments. And there's things that you have to do in order for you to beat whatever cancer that you may have. So just being blind faith into just thinking, God's going to come down and heal me. I don't necessarily believe in that. I believe like the secular part of just try to live your life right. If something happens to you, what steps are you going to take in order to rectify that, whether it be a medical situation or going out there, get a job. I think I need to study for or practice for my interview. I mean, there's things that we do on that end and just on the ethical framework. So it doesn't mean just because you believe in secular humanism that you're not a good person or that you need religion to make you that way. So,
Right.
and I think we learned that. And boomers, they had the civil rights movement. I think that's why churches came in, because we gathered there. That was like the
Right.
hub
That's
for
what I was gonna say.
social and cultural, meetings at that time. And now that we've moved away from that, I think we've, again, just kind of evolved as people and looking at what do we think is good and what do we think is bad and how we live our lives. I don't think I have to go to church for somebody to tell me.
I mean,
that.
we can congregate through
Right.
social media now. I mean, you could start a page, start a group, and have thousands of people who have the same ideals and thoughts as you right there at your fingertips.
Yeah.
We don't have to like you said back in the 60s where the church was the hub. That's where everybody went. If you were black and there was something going down, meet at the church. We're gonna have a church. We're gonna have a meeting at the church at 6:15 and we're gonna talk about this. Nah, you don't got to do that. Just pick up your phone, go to find a group. You can talk to everybody you want about whatever you want.
The concept of how most people believe in God is no different than parents teaching their children about the boogeyman.
Or Santa Claus, right?
Yes, because you have God and you have the devil, two polarizing, opposing forces. We're all taught that God is all powerful. We're taught that the devil is the child of God, or just an angel, a fallen angel. And if God is the most powerful entity and the most powerful force in the known universe, why doesn't he just stop the devil? Well, why does he let the devil run roughshod? And if all the evil that's occurring is the work of the devil, why? What kind of God? A God of love, a God of all of these beautiful things that people like to attach to him.
Hey.
A lot just sits back and goes, well, that's the devil. He does things like that. What kind of God realistically, allows babies to die? What kind of what kind of God allows things like this to occur on his watch? If to me, if that's the God you believe in, your God is just a kid with an ant farm.
Man, that's the end of the series. You can't write the series off. You kill the devil off, the series is over.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're talking about
it's a
all the preachers out of the job. They get up there, you kill the devil off.
Did I be quiet?
The devil got to
George,
keep going, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't no preacher preaching for the devil then. You know what I'm saying? They ain't doing that. The money's over with, the devil's out. You know what I'm saying? So
imagine if that announcement came out. They'd be denying it like
God
that.
to kill the devil.
No, the devil ain't dead, y'all. Don't believe that.
Yeah,
that's just one of his tricks.
Yeah. Hey man, God to kill the devil. So this is the last day of church here, bro. We have no reason for church no more, man.
Or perhaps
keep your money.
Perhaps because murder is a sin. That's the only reason why God won't kill the devil.
Hey, but man, we can come up with all of them all day long.
I will tell you like this, man. I think to the point of like when you look at the Bible, and we can go back, we have this conversation all
You
day,
better
man.
not. You better
What?
not say what. I was thinking
What?
what you're gonna say. He always tells me in the Bible that I'm supposed to follow him and do what he's saying and do
That's
his
right. That's
bidding.
what the Bible
Hey, it
says.
says that.
The Bible does say.
This is exactly.
But I wasn't going there. But thank you for bringing that up.
And he
What I
ain't
was-
lying. Though, it
I
says
ain't
that.
lying to do. But what I was gonna say was, in the beginning in Genesis, it talks about like how God created man, and basically he allowed evil in by disobeying God, right? And then biting the apple and being able to have, I guess, what's it called? I can't even remember right now. But being able to control your own destiny and do shit on your own, see and all this shit. That's just like a reason to say, hey, this is why the devil exists, and this is why God don't do nothing because you ate an apple. Damn, because I ate an apple. That's why you mad at me? And you gonna let the devil exist?
You kind of
And all this bad shit happens.
He let snakes roll in here and
Because
talk
I
to me.
didn't
and shit?
listen on day one. It was only 2 niggas to listen.
Yeah,
And
hey.
one of them was gonna fuck up. You got a 50-50 chance.
And you got talking snakes around here,
Yeah.
rolling in here,
Just
telling me to
testing
go
my ass.
eat this
You
damn
let the-
apple.
You let the snake do this?
You let the snake come in.
Yeah, so I mean, that's all to your point. But at the end of the day, I mean, I still believe in God. I don't care about that.
I'm still scared. My grandmama and them scared the hell out of me.
They
And you
say
know what? God, and the whole thing is, it's kind of like a prize at the end of the game. Like,
Something
everybody
to
wants to
look
go to heaven. Everybody wants to have that afterlife. Everybody, but we all say, "Oh, thank God for waking me up." Why are you so thankful for being woke up? Don't you want to go to heaven? Don't you want to be up there with God?
everybody want heaven, no
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all like a prize at the end of the cereal box. You get to the end, and I get to go to heaven. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. It's just something to give people hope that there's
Yes.
something else out there that they don't understand that they can have after they've had their time on this earth.
Yeah, something that man's been trying to do for since the caveman is talk about an afterlife and how great the afterlife's gonna be. But I mean, if you look at Greek mythology, if you look at anything, it's all got this great place where once we die, it's gonna be great. And the Muslims have there with Islam. I mean, so I think it's all a appeasement of man to as he's struggling in the world and earth. Like it's got to be something better than this. You know what I'm saying? So that's where religion kind of came into play, and
right.
heaven came into play, and all of that, and believing, and and it comes from the fact that when before religion was around, because believe you me, it was a time that religion didn't even exist, and we were praying to the sun and thunder and all that craziness. You know what I'm saying? It was something that we believed in.
Most early cultures were not monotheistic. I mean, technically, we aren't monotheistic because if you're a Christian, you believe in God, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So that's 3.
If you're Jewish,
but many cultures aren't. They believe in multiple gods. Concepts of religion, the advent of religion, like Malik said, is simply just a form of control, and it works effectively.
What was that big? What you call it again, Rolanda? That big word?
Secular humanism, or
Yeah, it's a big ass word for backsliding, ain't it? Backsliding, big ass word. Just say you backslide. Is what you're doing.
Shit. Well, religion has been. I think, and Peter brought up this point, man, that religion has been the source of wars forever. Like this is crazy how religion is supposed to be that peaceful thing that brings us together and kindness, and people fight and get into wars and things like that all the time over religion. And right now, there's a similar situation happening. The Israel Hamas conflict. This broke out a few weeks ago.
And I might add, excellent segue.
Oh, thank you.
I know where he was going with it.
I tried my best.
Hey, he lead the league in assists right there, man. He's all-time assist leader right there.
So there's been a lot of debates going on about this conflict right now, or war, whatever you want to call it, right? And it's really about the level of U.S. involvement, and like also about some similarities to how Palestinians are being treated as to how like African Americans are treated, here in our country. Now, while participation's been the main topic, there's all type of debates out there addressing our own issues at home too. Like, hey, we're spending a lot of resources and money and time on Israel, Ukraine. We got our own problems over here. that need to be looked at and resolved, and utilize some of our own resources on the things that we have going on over here. So there's several different aspects of this conflict that are popping up all over the place. So Ace, tell us about what are your thoughts on this conflict? What should be the priority? The Palestinian, African American, all whatever you want to go with, man. Hit us with what you're thinking.
It's a hot damn mess either way it goes, man. And it's just, first and foremost, man, let's just put things out there where they need to be. Hearts go out to the people that the families on the Israeli side that, when the 1,300 people were killed or whatever, and Hamas came over and grabbed hostages. We know they're going through a lot. But we also know that Israel's bombing the hell out of Palestinians, bombing them back into the Stone Ages, and they've killed up to 7,000 people now. I don't know, but 1,300 to 7,000, that's a big ass number. And it's still counting. Yeah. And we're still talking about escalating that war. And below and behold, it's a whole big nightmare that's going on now where we're flying sorties over to Iran and in Syria and the whole, well, in Syria, not in Iran, but, it's just becoming a big mess. But back on topic, what we're talking about, I think to try to talk toward our show and talk toward Black culture, I think there's needs to be an understanding on why this is important on the world stage and how it's similar to what we do.
Mhm.
You look over at Palestine, you look at the Gaza Strip, and and it feels like a lot of things that we go through in this country. There's a lot of oppression over there. We all know the history that kind of Israel was kind of given that land, and over the last 75 years, they've been battling over it, and America's kind of backed them up, and they've been able to keep it. And no one in the region is really happy with that. Just to let you know, with the oppression they're going through, a lot of the Palestine efforts that happened, they've supported us when it came to Ferguson. They supported our Civil Rights Act. A lot of our Black leaders have spoken out and supported them. But understand, that doesn't mean they support Hamas. And I think that's where people kind of get it confused.
Right.
I've heard people on the Israeli side come out and talk bad about Black organizations that kind of supported that, and tried to, like they always do, try to turn it anti-Semitic, and it has nothing to do with anything. The state of Palestine, the innocent people that are there that are suffering, the people that are dying and being bombed have nothing to do with Hamas. Mm-hmm. Hamas is a completely different organization that came out, and they have their own agenda, and they've done things over the years, not only and some things they do, are for the struggle, but they've grown over the years and started doing things just for their own political agendas and things of that nature. So I guess what I kind of want to grow out of this is you have to separate the two. Yeah. There's a Palestine struggle, the people that are there, they're going through some oppression. They're going through some things that we're very familiar with here in this country. But there's an organization that kind of got control of them, and even are doing things with them, and they're also oppressing them, that have done some things to get us in this current situation.
Any idea, I mean, I know we don't got the answers here, man, but I'm just kind of like, how do we separate it? Because it's hard, man. And I'm not trying to say Israel is correct or, the Palestinians are correct or Hamas is correct. What I'm saying is these people are living amongst the Palestinians. They have their headquarters there. They underground in these tunnels and all of this shit. They trying to kill these Hamas people, but they're killing innocent people at the same time. But do they even care? I mean, they bomb it over there like they don't care who they hit.
No, they've given the license to do that, and that's not cool on the Israel side.
Because of arrogance and hubris, because Israelis were forced out of the Holy Land way back yonder. Then triumphantly they were restored. So they have a sense of belonging. They have a sense of this is ours. Why are you still here? Oh, because you've been living here for centuries since we left. But don't you know, somebody made a way for us to come back. So now you're the carpetbagger. You're the squatter. Get out. Get out. It's the emphasis. The worst part about hearing about the Palestinian-Israeli struggle or the just strife in the Middle East is the propaganda we get fed through our media.
Yep.
If you listen to the struggle in other countries, it's definitely the agenda is pro-Palestinian. They are looked at as the sympathetic figure. They are the baby face. In America, it's Israel. Israel is the baby face. Israel is the the persecuted, the hero. That's who we should be rooting for. What does Israel give the United States? Please tell me. What do we, you talk about import, export. What does Israel give to the United States? Name one.
None.
You know what they give us? They give us a way to look at our enemies. Now let's examine that. When we talk about our enemies, you want to say Iran, you want to say any Middle Eastern country that we don't have favorable relationships with. Our relationship with Israel gives us eyes on the enemy. Now, that may be true, but now you have to ask yourself, why is Iran our enemy? Why is Egypt or Jordan or Saudi or whatever other country in that region, why are they our enemy?
Because they have what we want.
No, because we're friends with Israel.
Yeah.
So the only thing Israel gives us is pain and strife. We have enemies because of Israel. And the only thing we gain from Israel is an eye to look at our enemies because they're our enemies because of Israel.
I think that's part of it, but I also think we want what they have. We have our country is founded on the whole thing of taking what's yours and making it mine. We came over here, they came over here and took this land from the Indians. They took us from Africa. And they were Halliburton and all them came over there to Iraq, took all the oil and all. They want what's there. Don't get it twisted. I think you're right that if we weren't so buddy with Israel, maybe these other countries wouldn't hate us so much. But at the same time, well, we're willing to take that. We're willing to do that because we want what they have.
Yeah, what I did, I looked up because I had to go educate myself on this this war. I'm not really on the whole, Palestinian Israel. So I went and looked and saw like what's the relationship or how are we identified with the Palestinians. So Black people and likeness to Palestinians is what I looked up. And so both Black people and Palestinians have been forced historically through colonization and dispossession. First of all, Black Americans, we all know about the transatlantic slave trade, and the Palestinians, the same situation. They were removed and displaced and lost their land and resources. So that's number one. Then they also have systemic discrimination. We all know what we go through here. Palestinians are doing exactly the same thing. They're segregated and they have institutional racism there with trying to get jobs and things of nature. So we're alike in that aspect. And Palestinians have been faced racial issues, again, displacement in Israel and the occupied Palestinian territories. So I had to look and I was like, oh, wow, like we do have some of the, same historical things that have happened to Black people in America are happening to Palestinians. And like George said, we're looking at the lens through Israel and what the media is feeding us, not on exactly what's happening. So basically, Palestinians are like the Black people over there. You know what I mean? So when you look at that and it puts that in perspective, you're like, again, I'm not saying who's right, who's wrong. I don't know, have enough information on that, but I do know what it is to be Black in America and the things that we have been as a people. And it sounds like the Palestinians are actually continuously going through the same issues. And struggles for rights and justice. They're doing the same thing.
Yeah, and it's one thing that and George brought up. Some of it, we know what does Israel do for us, and he's absolutely right on that. But it's one reason that Israel stays close, stays in our ear, and that's because we know we have an influential populace here, on the Jewish side that make sure that we don't forget that at all. We don't forget about the Holocaust. We definitely don't forget about Israel, and we keep that top of mind, and that's because of their influence.
People.
Influence on
everything,
government and everything in the whole 9 yards. So that's why that moves up on that agenda, and that's why we see it through that lens. But we all know those people over there getting persecuted. And
the one thing that always comes to mind when I look at whether it be Israel, Palestine, Russia, Ukraine, anytime we are in some kind of war effort and we're supporting, the one word that always pops in my head is reparations.
Yeah.
We can afford to fund and endorse and help and assist with billions or millions or the dollars,
Trillions.
and yet
Mhm.
when we're told
Thank
about
you.
our plight and we know what was done to us, we're always told where we're going to get the money. How do we identify who to give the money to? Just excuses.
Oh yeah.
Ask Germany how
yeah.
they do their reparations for
Right.
Jewish
Mhm.
people.
Yeah.
'Cause they
How do
identify-
we do it? Because we pay them
Mhm.
over here too.
Mhm.
I don't
Yeah.
care how cool you with your white friends. Start talking about white reparations. They ain't gonna like that at all.
No.
I don't care how cool your white homie is with you. He
Mhm.
don't agree with you getting paid no reparations. You
Nope.
know, matter of fact, they think we got paid already. Like, according to the scientists, shoot, the
Mhm.
best trade school we got was slavery. You know what I'm saying? We got the advantage.
Yeah.
Well, you have to think about the generational wealth part. You got to understand that.
Mhm.
It's like, I'm sorry. I mean, if we had started at the beginning, I'm telling you, we'd be rich. There's no doubt in my mind. I have money, but what we're doing for our family now, but we didn't get that start. You know what I mean? My parents, they didn't have money. His parents, you know what I'm saying? So we had to look at the generational wealth part. That's what upsets me. It's like my kids, I'm now going to set up my kids, but my kids, grandkids, and therefore they should be set up. You know, you look at some of these families, they're like, how you got money? You know, what did you do? Because
Yeah.
you know, won on the backs of somebody else.
Mhm.
Well, the fear is we'd have actual economic power, like we'd actually have maybe states, or we'd even
Oh,
have
right.
cities
Mhm.
that had a Black American agenda and was set up, and that's the real power struggle within that understanding. Like, for instance,
Right.
you got like a BYU where you got the Mormons out there or whatever, and they own Utah.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
They
We'd
can
have our own
imagine like
states
if
too.
Georgia was owned by
by
Black
Mhm.
people. Right.
you know,
right.
now it's a shitload of Black people there, but you know what I'm
Right.
saying? But we don't have any ownership stake in anything.
And why
over
is
there.
that?
So, well, I mean, we
Right.
all know why that is.
You know?
And they know that reparations will
But
get
put you there. Right.
Yeah.
certain people and get us to a
I always
level
look
that
at
we
the
can-
owners, and I always talk about the NFL, you know, and I'm not a football person, but I was like, babe, who's the owner of this team? Who's the owner of this team? Who's the owner of this team? And none of them look like us. Why is that? But we all the players, you
Mhm.
know, once again, we all playing. They making money off of them, but
Yeah.
we don't own any teams. Why is that?
So I'm thinking Magic Johnson's really the owner. Like Magic Johnson on their
Partial.
namesake.
He's-
You know what I'm
Partial.
saying?
Yeah.
You know, I said we should be owning teams, you know, basketball, NFL, whatever.
Well, once
Other
upon a time we
teams,
did.
You know,
It was called the Negro Leagues.
Yeah.
Once upon
Right.
and back then, you know, for all the good that people like to talk about that came of integration killed us.
Yeah.
Segregation was bad because we were treated like second-class citizens. You know,
Right.
couldn't go to, you know, we had restricted movement. We couldn't
Mhm.
stay in certain hotels. We, you know, couldn't go into certain restaurants, things of that nature. But we thrived because it forced us to create our own businesses, our own industries, our own schools.
Right.
And that, you know, when you talk about generational wealth, had the concept of segregation continued, you probably would see a semblance of a Black political power structure
Mhm.
in the South, because let's just say segregation continued, but the federal laws that passed,
Right.
you know, made
Equal,
it to
right.
where, you know, Black people couldn't be lynched and, you know,
Right,
you know,
right.
just
They couldn't burn down the whole city.
yeah,
and
they
all
couldn't
that
bomb
crap.
our churches, so on and so forth. And then Black people would have had to, you know, continue to thrive on their own, you know, due to segregation, and you would have so slowly but surely a leveling of the playing field.
Mm.
And I've read a lot about Black industry and Black business and the number of Black millionaires and
Right.
just successful Black people who thrived during the segregated era. And just think, I mean, just think of baseball.
Yeah.
Right now, Blacks are few and far between in baseball, but back then, baseball was the big sport, and Blacks played baseball, and they were dominant, and the Negro Leagues were thriving. The Negro Leagues, you know, don't get it wrong. The Negro
Mhm.
Leagues was a very successful industry,
Yeah.
and we had Black ownership, and we that's something that we had that, because they decided to invite us to their party, we just gave away.
Mm.
And that's something to think about when you
Right.
when you talk about generational wealth, because
hurt ourselves.
we you know, and just to take that supposed step forward, we really ended up taking 2 or 3 steps, if not 10, backwards.
I think it was for acceptance. And yeah, when you said that, I think about all the people when they say, like, you know, go back to Africa, go back here. And I'm like, dude, well, I'm gonna take my food, my culture, my music, my people, you know, our athleticism. What would this world be without us? You know, if you look at it like that, I tell them, okay, when we leave, don't say, I don't want to hear nothing.
We ain't gotta leave because this is our home. We was here
You're
before this
correct.
country.
You know, I'm just saying, like, we make our
we are
own.
original Americans. You know what I'm saying? This is
Exactly.
our country. So they telling us to leave. Well, you
Right.
leave because we was here right here along with you. You know what I'm saying? This is,
Right.
you know, and that's that. And then let's be real. It ain't like we got open doors in Africa. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
they don't like us as much either.
Yeah. So no.
But we're a little lost.
Yeah,
We're a little lost.
This is our home. But yeah, so you know, getting back to what we were talking about when it comes to the Palestinian struggle and the Israel deal. I mean, you know, there's no easy answers on it. I just think we got to shed some light that, yeah, we know we have similar struggles. There's a similar plight over there. There's a lot of things happening for political reasons. You know, let's be real. They've been at war for the longest, and they've been popping shots and shooting rockets at each other. You know, they'll stop for a little bit, then they'll start back up, and it is we are seeing the ugliness of what's happening with war. You know, I think it's the climate that we're in right now politically, just as a country. We don't know how this thing's going to end up because of everything that just kind of happened in the last few weeks. But you know, where we stand on that, I don't know. I just think we have to shed some light on what's actually going on, how close that is to us when it comes to the struggle, and have some understanding. And I think the best thing is to kind of think about it is, yeah, you know, the news feed is just flooding us with it, you know, and it's overwhelmingly flooding us with it, you know. But you do have to understand there's a little bit of importance in knowing what's going on, and for your own sake, you know what I'm saying, so you won't be lost, you know. And I think that's what we're trying to do on this show, is kind of give you a perception to where don't believe everything that you see on TV just because they're telling you that, and then also because, you know, if I don't know anybody else is talking about the Palestinian side when you hear it, you know, we hear that they're getting bombed, we see the pictures, you know, that shit look like the ghetto, the projects and shit. You know, when we look over there, I'm like, wow, that looks just like some shit over here that they bombing. You know what I'm saying? And to see all those people over there, and I just don't think they're shedding light. We know this terrible thing that happened in Israel. I mean, I wouldn't want to be at a festival and people just come in and shooting and walking down the suburb and shooting people. That was horrible too. But it's definitely just as horrible to be sitting in your home and getting bombs dropped on you and seeing
don't
babies
know why.
die.
Right.
Yeah.
And you had really nothing to do with it. You know, it's kind of like if the police came to your house and, you know, your cousin was a Crip and they just started shooting everybody, shot your grandmama, shot everybody in the house because your cousin looked like you and they can't tell the difference between us. So they just shoot everybody in the house. Say, oh yeah, by the way, we did get your cousin, but we shot your whole family.
You mean like they used to do here?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
I do want to add to that, man. And I think we kind of talked about this when we were in our meeting about perspective.
Yeah.
It's about the perspective of the country or the viewer. And one of the points I like to bring up all the time when me and her talk, and I'm like, remember when that spy balloon flew all across America and they're like, Chinese are watching us. I'm like, we probably got spy balloons and spy planes all over China. Okay, but we making a big deal about this. It's the view, the perspective of your country saying they're the bad guys. Guess what? In China, who's the bad guys? We are. Guess what? In Russia, who's the bad guys? We are. So it's all about perspective, right? And it's the same thing here. All we see, like you said, they just pushing us all of this stuff. They tell us all these horrible stories about the Israelis who were taken out of their homes, who were hiding in their safe rooms, who got killed, and all of that. They parachuted in it, but they're not showing us anything or telling us any stories about what's happening to all these Palestinians. I bet you if you were to go to a Palestinian news channel or anywhere else over in the world, they would have a perspective from the Palestinian side and tell us the stories that are happening to their babies, the stories that are happening to their children, their people, the horrific things that are happening to them. I have seen none of that. Like you said, I see bombed out places.
Yeah.
And some people crawling around looking for stuff or people.
Yeah.
But I ain't heard no stories of how devastating this is to them.
Yeah.
Because then we will have sympathy for them. They do not want us to have any empathy, sympathy, nothing. So they will not show us that because they want us to believe what they think is right. And that's the unfortunate side about propaganda. That's all this is propaganda.
The catalyst for a lot of what we're seeing is there's the Gaza Strip. There are certain lands that are allocated or designated for the Palestinians. And what people always seem to overlook is Israel is constantly encroaching.
But this land has changed hands for thousands of years.
No, but I'm saying the territory that
Right
is
now.
supposed to be for the Palestinians,
Is what
Israel is slowly but
Yeah.
surely taking more and more. It's like, okay, this is ours. And
Now.
then you wake up the next morning, they're building settlements. Israel's building that, and then they're pushing them further.
Yeah.
And that's a densely populated area. And the Palestinians are supposed to just sit on their hands and go, well, there's another neighborhood.
Right.
You know,
No.
you took the bulk of the land way back when. Now you're down to a little bit that you left for us. You're trying to take.
Right.
And we're supposed to just be cool with that. I don't know if Hamas is the quasi militant leadership of Palestine, but at least they're the ones who say, if you cross that line, we're gonna. I mean, you know, if you dare me, I'm gonna knock that chip off your shoulder.
Right.
You know, so I'm not saying that right, but you got to look at who is the actual aggressor, and if they are continually engaging in aggressive acts, even if they're passive aggressive or however you want to term it, if you don't stand up and fight back, then they're just gonna continue until they push you into the ocean.
Yeah, that's true, man. I mean, it's a horrible thing that's happening over there, man. War is horrible, regardless of like your reason behind it, who instigated it, who started it. It doesn't matter. They're talking about ceasefires and all types of things, and like we're not supporting the ceasefire. We're like, if Israel wants to go in, let them. You know, it's crazy right now. I mean, I don't see why even us we would just say go ahead and have more. Go ahead and have war. Keep going, man. I think it's a horrible thing, and I hope. I mean, even everybody except George, just pray for him. All right,
Everybody.
Hey, but I want to thank our return special guest George for joining us today. Thank you, sir. Great conversation. Thank you for adding the perspective and the knowledge to the game. My queen Walanda, thank you so much.
Welcome.
And my man Ace, always in a place. Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah. Wemby.
Wednesday. Hey, we will be live next week, but on November 11th, just giving y'all a reminder, we will not be on live November 11th. Take a little break, but we will see you guys back next week. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next week.